Welcome to Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians, an interactive panel discussion. Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome back. This is still Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians for May 7th, 2021, and it is the 1 year anniversary of us doing this little show to talk about unemployment issues. And Russell and Mark are joining me once again here, and I think you guys were here from the beginning.
We go way back.
Way back. Yeah, and of course this kind of started with you, Mark. Calling the office and saying, "Hey, I found out about TWC. What did you guys find out? Let's share some information." It was like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And kudos to you, my friend. And yeah. I guess we always talk about the websites at the bottom. For the last year, every week we go through these websites because if you want the latest TWC information, it should be on the website. It's often just hard to find, but they have a Facebook page. They're still doing their press Q&As, I think, at least twice a week now on Facebook. There we have our local 433 unemployment sharing page on Facebook, our COVID-19 resources page, and Who Represents Me, which is getting to be so important now. The district lines are going to get repainted again pretty soon once the census data is in Texas, so it's going to be even more important to know and to find out who represents you. But as we always do, let's start with the old beverages here. I'm doing coffee. As usual. What are you guys doing?
Spring water.
Spring water, excellent.
Yep, good old green tea going on.
I guessed it.
So we've been drinking this for a year now.
Same cup.
Same cup. Beautiful.
We are consistent.
Very consistent, yes. Man, that's excellent. Man, well, I thought we could start with just the little bit of unemployment news that we have. We talked to a few musicians last week, and Mark, you had a little bit of experience last week with difficulties with the ID.me system, verifying identity for the purposes of TWC. What happened with that after we talked last week?
Well, courtesy of Christy in Zaffarini's office here, my representative, they actually got in touch with TWC on my behalf, and they had somebody from TWC call me from El Paso last Friday. Actually, two different people called me, and the first person that called me was really together and on top of it all, and she explained to me that my identity issues with TWC would be resolved. She didn't say they were, but she said they were going to be resolved. my identity issues. So I said, great. And then we talked about a few other things. And so I have not received any confirmation that my identity issues are resolved, but I did submit my payment request, and that went through. I didn't receive any money because I had to report income, but nonetheless, that was a good thing. And then the second person I talked to kind of reiterated all of that. And so it was, I'm hoping resolving the issue. And I also finally did hear back from ID.me. And they explained that the final documents had not been submitted because I hadn't clicked the submit button, which I'm pretty sure that I had. So I don't know. Something got messed up in there, and it may have been my fault, but I don't think it was. But in any case, it seems like it's kind of more or less resolved now.
That's great. That's great, man. Yeah. Thanks again to Senator Zaffarini's office, or
Senator,
Senator.
right? Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's great, though.
What a lifesaver.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But you had also reached out to another contact, Francis.
Yes,
well.
and I didn't hear anything back from her, which is not that unusual. But now that it's resolved. So
yeah.
I did actually call back the person from El Paso that called me last Friday just to verify a couple of things, and she did answer the phone, so that was encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we were in touch with at least two other musicians with a similar issue, and we did get indications from them that the issue had been resolved. I didn't get exactly what their indication was from TWC that was resolved. So similar to you, it's I don't know if they got an indication that it will be resolved or if it was resolved exactly. But it's a similar case in where they did a bunch of things at once. So we don't, which you should do. I'm not I'm not discouraging that, but we don't actually know which of the one things which thing worked.
No, and we also don't know if the initial problems were with ID.me. I couldn't get a straight answer out of TWC about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they were just covering their tracks, that they made some mistakes, or that there really were some issues with ID.me. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, we were kind of speculating about that last week, trying to figure out where the hiccup might be.
One thing about bureaucrats, deniable plausibility. Yeah. It's always there.
Yeah. So we're somebody else's fault.
It wasn't me.
Yep. Cover your own. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. Well, it's at least the train seems to be running on the tracks again. For some of us, But again, to the listeners, if you're having trouble and you're a musician, let us know what's going on, because it really does help. Even if there doesn't appear to be anything, that you can do, and even if we can't figure out something for you to do, just sharing the information around will help, and it'll let you know that you're not alone, but it'll let other people that are having the same problem know that they're not alone, and that can make it easier for us all to work together, and just knowing that there's other people that have the same problem can help with, getting in touch with elected officials, but also TWC officials, and letting them know, like, it's not just me, it's lots of other people having this problem. We need to solve this, and that's valuable info that you don't have if you don't share info. So. Now, of course, don't share too much info. Don't get your identity stolen.
Right. Yeah.
We don't want that. That's happening too. We're still seeing those reports from TWC about fraud, and folks get a call about their unemployment insurance that they haven't applied for. Like, what's that? Oh, you probably should check into that if that happens. But of course, if you haven't actually applied for unemployment insurance, you're probably not going to watch this show. So, yeah, but. stuff to keep in mind. Yeah.
And speaking about information sharing too much, if you have those vaccination cards,
Oh.
you might want to keep those pretty secure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was told by a healthcare person who is in the system that these things are being stolen
Hmm.
and used as verification for an ID,
Wow.
which I didn't think that was even possible. But this
Yeah.
is what I was told by an insider. So,
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah, and I think also if you have the option through the provider that you had originally for your vaccines to get a copy of that card, it's not a bad idea to have a copy around,
Oh,
just in
just put it
case.
put it in your file cabinet or something, and
Yeah,
yeah, keep
yeah.
it around or your desk drawer. Yeah.
Because it looks like, it looks like we're going to need that, like for overseas flights and things like that, or whatever.
Yeah. You already need it for your dog, right? If you want to bring your dog on an overseas flight or something, they got to have their vaccination records and everything. So
Yeah, right.
I guess.
well, you already have to do it. You have to show it now to get back into the country now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's already a rule.
Wow, man. But yeah, it's seems like it's something people aren't looking to defend against theft of that card, but yeah, something to watch out for. Yeah. Yeah, as if we didn't have enough to watch out for.
Right?
But oh man. Well, any other unemployment things you guys are hearing about, wafting through the musical atmosphere?
Not really.
Yeah.
Well, I keep waiting to see if they're going to make that last uh, amendment retroactive for back employment here
Hmm.
in the state of Texas.
Uh huh.
And there's been no concise answer one way or the other.
Yeah.
Just so we're going to do it, but nobody knows when.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing with the mixed earner income thing that we've been tracking. There's been no news on that either.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is.
That seems like that should be resolved by now.
Yeah, it really should. Yeah.
It's a couple months. That's a couple of months at least.
Yeah, it went into effect in
Yeah.
January and it runs out
Yeah.
in September, just like most of the stuff. And so, when is that going in? Yeah,
Right?
we don't know, but yeah, we would like to know. So, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you the viewer, if you hear anything about that, let us know. Because we're watching that topic in several different places, but we can't be everywhere. So yeah. Goodness. All right. Well, on to the political stuff, I suppose. You guys had mentioned the voting rights stuff, and of course there is in the U.S. Congress there's the John Lewis voting right. I think it's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Act or the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which I think that's a good title too, advancement, right? To have that in there, but. Yeah, that's what they're looking at for that would actually prevent all these little state voter suppression acts and this sort of new Jim Crow 2.0 thing that they're trying to
Yeah,
put in.
they're really going hard after those drop-off boxes.
Yeah.
And I heard a Republican senator on CNN. He said, "Well, when you drop your mail off in the mailbox, do you have a guy watching you do that?" And the moderator said, "No." So what's the problem with the drop-off box? It's just secure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy on the other side of the aisle that says what they're doing is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very common sense. It's all topics we've been over in this country before at length. I mean, yeah, and it's dismantling the Voting Rights Act of 1964, right?
Yep.
Or is it 65?
I think it's
remember.
64.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of unconscionable, but
Well, the other insidious side to it is that it seems like they're trying to make it possible for state legislators to do what Trump actually asked them to do in the last election, which is to overturn the election.
Mm.
So, in other words, it's a movement to give increased legislative control over the outcome of the vote, which is a pretty scary thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, state legislative control.
Yeah,
Over.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So there is some news on our local effort to both implement these things and to fight them. There's an article in the paper today that at 3 in the morning last night, or apparently today, 3 in the morning today, I guess, the Texas House of Representatives passed the bill, the voter suppression bill, but it was after the Democrats in the Texas House were able to get some of their amendments into it. So, and I guess they came in with literally 100 amendments. The Democrats came in to add to this bill to try to take the teeth away from it, and they were able to get what does it say, 18 of them or something in. 18 late amendments, or 13 of which were offered by Democrats. That kind of take a little bit of the teeth out of it, but none of them voted for it. It was only the Republicans that voted for it in the House. But what that means, though, is that it has to go back to the Senate because now they've amended it, so it doesn't pass. Right. So now it's go back to the Senate and possibly, to be re-amended and then back to the House. So I guess it's a stalling tactic in some ways, I suppose.
How convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
And we won't see them again for 2 years when they leave here.
Yeah, and that's coming up, right?
How convenient. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sine die is coming up.
Yeah. Well, but if they can delay it past when the legislative session ends, then maybe it will go away, or maybe it'll take long enough to where the John Lewis Act can pass in Washington. We'll see. But yeah, it's disturbing.
And the other thing that's going to affect our business is the passage of the concealed or not concealed handgun.
Yeah.
So you'll be in the club or something now with somebody who's walking around with a visible weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With alcohol being around.
Mm-hmm. Now has that passed both chambers?
It's on the way, and the governor said he intends to sign it.
Oh my gosh! Well, I thought it was still held up though. Is it not? Did it make it through? So it's going to the governor's office now?
I don't think it's quite there yet.
Okay.
But there's support for it to pass.
There is, yeah, and there's opposition to it from law enforcement all over the place, which makes sense. That makes sense.
It's gonna be a problem for them now.
Mm-hmm.
You pull up on somebody and you jump out with yours. They already got theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Russell. That could be a workplace safety
hazard
issue for us. Yeah, hazard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in our places of business, and that would include bars, restaurants, churches.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge problem. I mean, yikes. Yeah. Well, there was a church I worked in had someone walk in with a gun, and they took their gun out and walked towards the preacher while it was happening. They had to shut down services the rest of the day. Jeez. That was a couple of years ago.
A while back, there was a guy who walked in with a loaded rifle, and two of the parishioners had theirs, shot him.
Wow.
And prevented a mass killing.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm. That's what he was there for.
Wow.
So, when does church ever become like that?
Yeah.
You got to walk in with a sidearm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course that bill is getting national attention, just like the bathroom bills and the voting rights bills. And it is, in fact, driving business away from Texas, which most businesses are running towards Texas, but
right.
But that is something that a lot of businesses are saying, like, oh, we're having second thoughts about Texas now, and that may continue.
Oh,
Yep.
just for anybody watching, I am pro Second Amendment rights. I just want that on the record.
Yeah.
I'm not crying about it, but I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it could be a hazard for some of us.
Yeah. That's something we have to keep saying. Is that just because you're for gun control reform doesn't mean you're against the Second Amendment. That's ridiculous, right? But yeah. Ugh. Well, anyway, let's not make their talking points for them. But
Right, exactly.
oh man. But gosh, what other new stuff have I got here? There's an editorial in the paper today that is pretty interesting. And the title is Texas GOP lawmakers trust you with a gun, but not with the vote. And they're sort of comparing those two movements that just don't make any sense. So that's interesting.
Oxymoron.
Yeah. What? Oh man.
Well, it's also interesting that so many big businesses, corporations, are coming out against the Republican moves to limit or suppress the vote. Because most big businesses and corporations have kind of been on the Republican side of things for 20 to 30 years now or more, and now all of a sudden there's getting to be a rift there between a lot of those businesses and what the Republicans have proposed. I think that's a good thing.
And I can tell you why. When Biden was elected by that sweeping margin, those guys in the corporate America took notice.
Oh, yeah.
Power shift. We better align with these guys now because they're not going away anytime soon. There's a younger, more aggressive audience out there that is politically savvy, and they're not going to stand for this.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen protests like this since, go back to Kent State, which, we're probably old enough to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ancient history, but that was drastic change after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they don't want to be in the wrong side of history.
Wrong side of history, that's right. Remember that song by, I can't think of his name now, but Four Dead in Ohio?
Oh, yeah.
Neil Young.
Yeah.
Neil Young, yeah.
That was a big political statement, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the woman who took that iconic photo at Kent State just passed away. Also.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. The one with the woman standing there and the young man dead on the pavement at her feet.
Oof. Yeah. But those are two good points, man. Photography and music.
Mm-hmm.
And the photography thing, it's really become democratized because we always have it in our pocket now. Right. We always had the video camera in our pocket. That's what was so significant with the George Floyd trial and everything,
Yeah, but they won't let us see the body cam.
Yeah, well, nah, that's not in our pocket. That's in their pocket, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, that just, that's made such a difference in the last decade or half decade or something, that everybody's got that video camera in their pocket. And that's a real tool for change. Can be.
Yeah, and with the ability to go online instantly, whereas before, you had to just kind of wait and upload that, and hopefully the news media will pick it up.
Oh yeah, and that's even more recent, right? Yeah,
you can target them directly now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are live streaming, right? They're like instantly live streaming. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man.
And once the algorithm realizes that you're getting a lot of hits, they just shotgun it all over the place.
Yeah, you get even more hits. Yeah.
Get any more hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man. But to the other point, the songs. We got to bring back these songs about these issues, or write new songs. That's really what we need to do, right? That's our business that we're in. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, man, I guess the other topic, or the next topic would maybe be the evictions we were talking about beforehand. And I did pull up a New York Times article about what you were talking about, Russell, with the federal judge striking down the moratorium on evicting renters, which is the CDC thing. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, of course, that was done under the Trump administration, but now they want to strike it down under the Biden administration. But, of course, that doesn't affect our local things. The Travis County one, I think, is still good. through August or something like that.
I
But
think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the mayor said.
yeah,
It's good through August, but then he was kind of like not really concise about what happens after that point.
well, yeah, whether or not it will get renewed
Yeah,
or something like
I mean,
that.
like this homeless, camping thing. It's in effect next week. I mean, where are these people going to go?
Yeah,
And how are you going to enforce that?
yeah,
And is jail the only option that you have? I mean,
yep, yeah, yeah, because that was also passed last week, right? The
Proposition B.
Proposition B.
the reversal of the homelessness. Well, the reinstatement of the camping ban, I guess, right? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, what is the what is going to be the impact on the policing system now that they have to do that again? You know, and everything. Yeah. A little disappointing. And then yeah, if the eviction moratorium goes out,
A
yeah,
lot more was
how
out
many
there.
more homeless people are we going to have? You know, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, it's no good. And of course, as we've talked about before, you know that the eviction moratorium has to go hand in hand with some kind of rent relief or you know lost rent relief for the landlords.
Sure.
Otherwise, this system's going to collapse anyway. You know, if you don't take care of people, it's not going to work. So yeah, people over profits, right?
Right.
Yeah. Geez, what else here? Interesting article about the homelessness plan, is what they're calling it now. Austin Council relaunches police academy and authorizes new homelessness plan is what they're calling it now. Which I hope there's more of a plan than just arresting people. But we'll see. I mean there is they have a plan, but will it work? Yeah. And then an article about the Cap Metro tunnel that's supposed to go under a
Yeah, I
couple
saw
of
that.
state parks. Yeah, yeah, and that could help the music business a little bit. I mean, all that public transpo stuff. You know, I've always thought if people could take public transportation to a show like they do in New York, you know,
That's right.
that would be much better than having all these people driving after they get out of the bars and everything. Better for us certainly because we're going to have to drive anyway because we got to get our stuff home.
Sure.
Well,
You know, if clubs want to have, a back line built in, well, you just show up with your instrument. I mean, that way, public transportation would be a good option.
oh, I would love it if that was more encouraged too. Yeah. It seems like that only happens during like South by and some of the festivals.
Right.
They'll bring in a back line. And then we can take public transportation downtown, which is a way better option than going down there, than driving down there. I've even on the train downtown, I've even put like a dolly with my instrument on it, rolled it onto the train and just rolled it to the gig.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, during that. But oh, yikes. Man. Also, I wanted to mention I mean the ProAct, of course. We had a phone banking session on Zoom with the AFM. I think it was last week, about the ProAct, the People's Right to Organize Act, because that is still gaining some steam. Even Joe Manchin, the Democrat in the Senate, that seems to kind of be the stick in the mud for a lot of this stuff. Even he's on board with it now. But that's one of those things that they have to figure out if they can pass it without any Republicans or not, which I don't think they'll have to. I mean, I think it seems like some Republicans will be able to get on with it, and but that's the one that makes it easier to form a union, to organize, and to enforce the laws, about things that employers aren't allowed to do when people are trying to organize and start a union. And
There's I don't want to say it's an ordinance, but there's something in the federal statute that says that if you try to organize and state the union and it doesn't work, there is to be no retribution.
Yeah.
You can't be fired tomorrow for trying to organize.
That's right. That's right.
However, You can be shifted around the jobs you can't do, and they just force you to leave.
Yeah. Well, exactly. One and actually, unfortunately, the only thing that the only penalty when they do that, when they fire somebody for joining a union or for starting a union or for talking about a union, um, when employers fire somebody for doing that, the only penalty they have is they have to pay the back pay to the person. So it doesn't cost them anything
Right.
other than back pay. Or it actually doesn't cost them anything. It's free basically to them, because if all they have to pay is the back fee, they'd be paying that if they didn't do it. You know what I mean? So it's actually it's there's no
Penalty.
yeah, there's no penalty at all. Yeah.
Well, there was a lady who, I believe she's in New York, who had her decision reversed. She was a former police officer, and she got not only back pay, but she got her pension, and she got a, what do you call it when they, in language they give you money for that. She got
Oh, like a settlement
that.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but it took her 11 years.
Wow.
And she had 5 kids, and so
Wow.
she was gonna be one of those ones on the street.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. Yeah. So that's really important. And of course, now there's a White House task force on worker organizing and empowerment, which is a very good thing. Our unions come out in support of that task force. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do, but I imagine it's going to be enforcing labor laws, and hopefully the ProAct will pass, and we can get some enforcement of those things. Everybody's been talking about the Amazon union vote in Alabama, which it's really a miracle that they got it even to vote. They even got it to the point where they could vote in Alabama.
In that state, absolutely.
Yeah. And there have been several other ones. I mean, there was all over the South. This is happening right now. That in South Carolina there was what was it, Boeing, the plant that Boeing moved from Washington State to South Carolina to try to unionize in 2017, I think. And there's a Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga that tried to unionize in 2019, and it failed. It failed in both places, but they still got to the point where they were voting, and so it exposes the employer campaigns against unions, shows what the lengths they're willing to go to, and the money they're willing to spend.
Sure.
And really, they're breaking laws too. We just have to prove it. The employers are, and so it's getting there. But
well, the good thing about it, that deal at Amazon forced Jeff Bezos to go on nationwide TV and capitulate and admit that those employees were mistreated.
Yeah. So there are victories you can win even if you don't win the union, but eventually you need to win the union.
Right.
It's going to keep happening. Yeah.
Well, because when the cameras leave, they're like, okay, back in business.
Yeah, and of course, these are lessons we learned 150 years ago, but we've got to learn them again, and that's okay. Yeah. I also wanted to talk about the Tempo Fund that the AFM has. Do you guys know about the Tempo Fund? It's the political, the lobbying fund, because normally, union dues can't be used for direct lobbying of political candidates, right? That's illegal. So what most unions have, and what our union has, is a separate lobbying fund that only union members can contribute to. And Tempo is our fund. It stands for Task Force for Employment of Musicians Promotional Organization. So I think they just wanted it to spell tempo, but it's still a good acronym. It supports candidates to support music, and their website has the kind of the 5 big issues that they're always working on, which is stricter copyright and performance rights, that get musicians paid, stronger pension system, which we had a massive victory with that last month, increased National Endowment for the Arts funding, which that's been a fight every single year the past 5 years. You know, they've basically tried to eliminate the entire National Endowment for the Arts for the last 5 years. Improve travel regulations, making it easier to travel with instruments, and you guys know how difficult that can be. And more music education, so our next generation of musicians can learn their craft. But of course, that's not all music education does. It also builds the next generation of our listeners too. You know, yeah. So anyway, I'll put that in the notes. But yeah, that's all I've got on my docket. You guys have anything else in the news or lives, music?
No. Thank you. That was good topics.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you guys for joining me once again, and we'll keep this going. We may have a new name next week, but it'll be on the same bat time, same bat channel. And yeah, you the listener, if you're listening to this and you're in the music industry during all of this stuff, don't give up. We can get through this by sharing information and working together. And now that work is coming back, join a union. There's no stronger contract that you can work under than what you can use, even as an independent contractor, freelancer. Yeah, your work deserves to be protected, and it's worth it. So, all right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Take care.